everyone, and welcome to today's session. As the new age buildings become increasingly complex and construction profit margins tighten, adopting AR and VR technology to detect design coordination errors will become a new trend. So hello everyone and welcome to today's session, ARVR, a paradigm shift in AEC industry. My name is Shubhranil Chatterjee and I will be your moderator. I work on animation team here at Pinnacle Infotech and I am excited to be hosting this session today. In today's webinar, I will also be a panelist along with Steve Burry. Steve is Associate BIM Director in KPFF and has presented a lot of webinars. And today, he is going to share his knowledge and experiences in AR and VR. Having been a part of the KPFF team for over 20 years, Steve thrives on new technological challenges. Myself, Shubhranil, is with Pinnacle for over 11 years, having rich experience in BIM visualization with a deep insight towards the futuristic and innovative thought. In this 1 hour session, 40 minutes will be the presentation and last 20 minutes is the Q&A session. Next, we would love to hear you from during today's presentation. If you have questions for our speakers, please feel free to send it through the Ask a Question tab from the bottom of your player. And we will take your question toward the end of the presentation. If we don't get to your question during today's webinar, we will be sure to respond to it afterwards. The industry often suffers from work process stoppages and constant budget extension due to blueprint inaccuracies of unforeseen problems. Construction workers can take months or years depending on the project. But what if you could get into a house and check its every corner even before the foundation is laid? So let's take a better look and the benefits of the VR application and how it might change the course of construction industry development. Regarding that AR, with the help of advanced augmented reality technologies such as computer vision and object recognition, the information about surrounding real world of the user becomes interactive and able to digitally manipulate it. Augmented reality has a wealth of design and construction uses beyond visualization. AR has been used in video gaming and media entertainment for a much longer period of time. To show a real image interacting with one created from computer graphics, its utilization matured in architecture and construction industries when contractors using it to show clients proposed design in the context of existing conditions using mobile devices and gadgets on the construction site. Moving forward, talking about the gadgets and futuristic technologies cannot be completed without naming about the famous TV series Star Trek. I know most of the audience is crazy about this famous series. Plenty of future technologies were already predicted in the Star Trek series. At that time, those all are crazy dreams. But now, they become possible with high-tech gadgets. In this ever-expanding world, we are developing our skills depending upon the changes, which is essential process of all existence, as said by Mr. Spock in Star Trek. Here are some best instances are taken from Star Trek series to show how the future dreams becoming today's high-tech gadgets. Just look at the flip phone in 1966. In such a crazy dream at that time to think about this kind of communication device. A similar example of another gadget is iPad. Did we ever think about the possibilities of voice commands before 1966? Perhaps no. But the voice command and the AI things have made it possible before a decade. Now, talking about today's topic, the AR and the VR. They were also imaginated in this series. Even from 1974, VR thought has taken its shape in a form of a gadget and opening new doors and possibilities. Before getting into the core, I would like to share the key learning points from this session. So the key learning points are: what are the technologies? Who will be benefited? And when it is the time to pick this up? And how ARVR is disrupting the construction industry, the challenges and the solutions. So without any further ado, I would like to kick things off by welcoming Mr. Steve Puri. Steve, over to you.
Thanks, Apple. Good talking to you and good listening to you on that. Hello, everybody. I'm Steve Voorhees at KPFF. KPFF started this journey approximately 6 years ago, and we found great improvements in both the use of this technology and the acceptance of the technology in today's world. Today, I'm going to be talking about the differences in virtual reality, how it's used, and also augmented reality and how it's used. It offers simulated environment for virtual reality, the traditional interfaces or no traditional interfaces, experiences and interaction with the 3D models that are out there, and virtual reality. It's a headphone for your eyes. Uh-oh, it went too fast, sorry. Doing this from Portland, Oregon, by the way, and our friends are in Dugapur. Here we go. In the real world, everybody sits behind their computer or over a set of drawings, and we need to transform that. So what virtual reality does is let's go from the real world to being in the virtual world using Oculus Rift, other types of VR goggles, so we can get in and actually see the site that's being built, the buildings being built, the systems that are being put in place. That's what's going on. It allows us to be interactive with it, which is very nice. In the augmented world, now this is a really cool one. This is also known as mixed reality. Okay, it's a blend of the virtual world and the real world that's out there. It puts it right in front of you. It gives you the real-time interaction of what's out there in relationship to the virtual world. And it gives you the exact 3D registration of virtual and real that's going on. Okay, so real world with digital technology, you guys have all been using this probably and didn't even realize it, or maybe you did realize it. With your smartphones that are out there, you can take a picture or hold your camera up and see what's out there and overlay images on it. That's augmented, a very simple form of augmented reality. But they also have real cool glasses that you can actually wear around the space that puts the augmented world in front of you all the time. Although it can get very distracting, but it's actually very neat when it gets into it. Here's the ways that you've probably seen them out there. Navigation and information for your phone. If Siri does it, Google Maps does it. Your sports centers. You guys seen these on TV when they bring the players in augmented reality right next to it and be able to work with them? Or even for me being a golfer, working on my golf swing in augmented reality to see, taking a video of me walking it through and actually projecting it and walking around myself on it. The big one out there a couple of years back was the Pokemon game. people going out catching real Pokemon with their phones in augmented reality. My wife loves the interior design portion of it, so that before we paint a room or move furniture around, she can actually see what it's going to look like in the augmented world with her phone. Your grocery store, you can do it at retails, any place. You scan the QR code that's out there, it brings up all the information of it while you're looking at it. And the big one too is medical training. They're using this all over the field. My daughter's a nurse, and she uses augmented reality out there all the time for her cancer screenings that she goes through and explaining to people what's going to be done. Augmented reality helps us perform daily tasks without even knowing it. You know, like I said, the Google Maps, the Google Lens. Oh, and of course, every teenager's and midlife person's favorite, and even some older people, Snapchat, creating those funny faces. That's all augmented reality. But then let's get into what we do in the augmented reality design, coordination, validation, and construction industry. We're able to overlay augmented onto our blueprints. We're able to see things into it and get a better feel of what's being built. Also, it brings on a great presentation to the owners and the clients out there that we're really in and really concerned about how the building's going to go up and how it's going to look, and that it goes up correctly. You know, the key learning points on this today that we're going through are how's VR bringing a paradigm shift to us, and when is it time to do this? When do you want to start doing this? And how VR, it says disrupting the construction industry, but I'd say enhancing the construction industry. You know, there's challenges and solutions out there. Okay, how VR is bringing a paradigm shift is the old conventional method, which is Navisworks or Glue, to do coordination, where you can actually do all the coordination in virtual reality during the design stage. Okay, the gains of this are you get a 360-degree space, which would increase about 40% more productivity if you're able just to turn and look. I actually run my Revit at times in my virtual reality with a virtual desktop. That way I can go right into virtual reality when I want to see something to really get into it when I'm doing my design. There's a real-time scale in 3D. It actually makes you feel the space around you and get that spatial relationship. We've done this on bridge walkthroughs when we've had to present to the city and the community a bridge that's going in, a pedestrian bridge here in Portland, and I had to present it to all the area residents of that area. And they actually came in, put on the goggles, walked across the bridge in virtual reality, and was able to look down the freeway both ways and actually see the cityscape in the background because I overlaid everything into it. But it gave them a real-time scale of what was going on so that they could actually feel the room that they had. Actually had bicycles and everything going up and down the pedestrian bridge so they could feel how crowded it could get and how spacious it was, right? And then the Z-depth allows you to get a true understanding of 3D. And by the funniest thing about Z-depth is I've taken clients into virtual reality and they've always wanted to know what it's like. I've taken them up to the roof and had them look over the edge. And while they're looking over the edge, I just give them a little nudge and they freak out because they actually think they're falling. That gives you the true analysis of it, or letting them know what it's like. Right? And how's AR doing this? What's AR doing the paradigm shift on? The mixed reality of it. Okay, the conventional method of this is when you're looking at it, you're going out to figure out, okay, well, this building's going to fit here. It's going to look like this. You know, the owner's thinking, how's this going to fit into the cityscape, the skyline? How's it going to look? Is it going to match the other buildings around it? Or is it going to be stand out and totally disrupt it? Well, you can do this with augmented reality by overlaying the model and the buildings inside your phone and looking through it and actually seeing the building in its place of it. That's one of the great things about augmented reality, right? The other thing is the gains of augmented reality. You don't have to get rid of tape measures. Nobody will ever get rid of tape measures, but you can do digital tapes in the inspection. It can actually give you, while you're walking through the area, distances and checks. You can start working on model-based construction and using that to help you build more accurately out there and faster what's going on. And of course, our whole goal in this is to get shorter time frames and more money in the pocket for people. The faster the project gets built, the faster it gets occupied, the more money the owners make, the next building goes up, the more money we make, the more jobs we have. And we're using the technology to deliver all this. Okay, when is the time to pick this up? Okay, when's the time to pick up ARVR? You got design stage, coordination stage, and construction stage. When and what do I use? Right? For the design stage, early stage concept validation, perfect for VR. It kicks out there. You can bring your owners into it. You can all the clients. You can bring the team members in. You can walk around, see what's going on, what they're going to be designing. It's very low or no cost on prototyping for it. Right? You kick it out there. Here it is. You can build a mock-up in VR to see what something's going to be like. You can run the whole building through so everybody gets the feeling for it. Right? And visualizing the impact of any design changes show up. So when you get the whole team reviewing it in VR in design stage, and say an architect moves a column or needs a column, okay, well, that's going to cause a lot of different changes, and this is how it transfers through. And the best one of all is marketing. Oh, marketing with VR is a big plus for it. Pushing it out there and having people see it works out great. VR in the coordination stage in the old days was Navisworks, like I said, the conventional method. And virtual reality, there are some programs out there, like when I use Fuser, can actually do the coordination review on it. You can go in, mark it up, or you can actually fix it in virtual reality, the clash, and push it back to the Revit models, which will then update the drawings for you. Of course, you have to do the checking and everything onto it, but you can get the whole team in on it. How many of you have been in a clash detection meeting that goes for 3 or 4 hours, going over every little clash? This actually makes it more fun. And you're walking around, you're looking at things, you're getting it done, and gives you the more visualization of what is there and why I can't move that column, or why that duct has to move, or why that opening's in the wrong spot. AR and site inspection, perfect for this, is the augmented reality. Matter of fact, this is what I'm starting to build for our special inspection team here at KPFF now, is that they're able to go out in the conventional way right now. Is they go out with their blueprints or drawings, they know areas that they have to check, they know areas that they have to look at, and they got to mark it up. Then they come back and they fill out the reports, and then they submit it in there. Well, with the AR method, it's all digitized. It's 100% accurate if you're geocached in the right place, if you're geolocated in the correct position. It's smart and it's fast, and it saves time and cost. So my inspectors are able to go out, actually put the goggles on and walk around the site and see what's supposed to be there, and already have areas marked for checking when they get there. So it runs in the conventional method, of course, like we were saying. I hope everybody can see the video. Everybody's looking at it, checking it out, walking across it. But the real nice thing about it is it's paperless. You can walk the site. It's fast. It's very interesting, but you do have to watch where you're walking. I mean, you don't want to walk off the edge of something. And you can see where things are. It's already got the pre-checks in there, so you know what you're looking for, making sure that you're not missing anything on your inspection sites and comparing it to what's actually there. You can do your digital distancing. You can mark it up. And automatically when you mark it up, you can be able to send it back to the office if there's something wrong for the log file. There's multiple ways that you can use augmented reality in the real world. Like I said, watch where you're walking. You don't want to walk off a mezzanine that's not guardrailed or anything. Okay, so AR and VR enhancing, not disrupting the construction industry. You can use a design review, eliminate coordination errors, and improving safety standards on it. So the traditional way, again, Navisworks, the war room. I think we've all been in a war room out there when it comes to working with contractors and being the contractor on site in the job trailer, having all the prints up. But you can go into the augmented world and the VR world and do the same thing. The augmented world and the design review is really good for giving you concept of what's going on into it and actually seeing things. Virtual reality gives you the 3D space of it, the realization of what's going on. You can check your Revit model using augmented reality too. And this is just for quick checks. I mean, there's multiple different ways. On this, you can't really mark it up, but you can actually see what's being built. And this is just a little simple app that you can load it onto your phone. You scan your drawings with a QR code into it, and it brings your model with it and pops it up. Cubity is a big one for this, for the augmented reality. Fuser's another one that does the augmented reality. And there's a new one out there that came out last year. It's called the Wild, which is really good with augmented reality and virtual reality to do this. You know, you get to eliminate coordination errors for everything going on. It speeds things up. You're able to review, collaborate anywhere you want to. Okay, now, especially now, since headsets are wireless and you're not tethered to a machine where you can only move 10 feet, you can actually rent a space, say, or borrow a gymnasium from a high school and geolocate and walk a whole floor plan, which we've done with one of the programs called the Wild. And we're able to walk through the whole thing and walk around and check things out using Oculus Rift or Oculus Go on it. It works great. The checklist could be prepared smoothly in them because they all have their writing capabilities into it, and then you can export the reports out of VR or screenshots out to everybody on things you find wrong. You know, coordination using Navisworks the old way. Everybody walk through, do the fly-throughs, check things out. But now then you can use virtual reality and you can bring the whole team into it and walk around, mark it up. Everybody's in the model at the same time, seeing things. You're double checking the errors. You're seeing how things work and fit together and why there's problems, if there are problems. The other thing, I went to a seminar 3 years back. And when I first started talking about using virtual reality and augmented reality for safety concerns on the job site, you know, it allows them to avoid real life dangers and disruptions. The presentation they gave was actually during a storm, and a transformer was shorting out, and it had to get to the transformer to shut it down without dying. Electricity, with wires laying all over, and they did this virtually, the virtual one. It's like a video game, but it was a training session that they had to flip the right switches, they had to do everything in the right order, and they did a virtual where they couldn't do that out on site. They could just, you know, pretend it was raining and everything, but in the virtual reality world, they were actually made it to where lightning would strike and your controllers would jolt and things. It's actually pretty funny watching people try to get in and turn it off, but they use it for safety. It can create higher retention and reduce training costs, of course. Immersive VR training can increase trainee focus because now that they know they're not going to get hurt, they're able to learn on what they need to do on the practice of it. Yeah, it's not the same thing as real life, but it's a safer way, and it puts that knowledge into their head so that they're able to get out there and do it. And it's a safe environment for training.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Now, looking forward, if we are looking at the future of the AEC industry, so we can see there are three basic steps: design, process, and build. So AR and VR are the cutting-edge technologies plays an important role at every stage of this process. So few of them are picturing the finished product. The architect's fly-through and the 3D model started the process of democratizing the complexity and the construction processes so that non-specialists could visualize the building space would look like the VR, and the real-time visualization technology has moved forward considerably, reducing design coordination errors with VR. VR not only plays an effective role in communicating design changes, but also in demonstrating the impact of value engineering exercises on the completed scheme, as well as evaluating alternative solutions. As one of the least digitized industries, construction has a lot of catching up to do. The ultimate goal is to create an augmented worker system that will use AR to improve efficiency during every step of construction process. before a contractor has stepped foot on site, design changes can happen in the virtual world and not in the physical space, where cost and time delays can quickly mount up. VR is particularly advantageous at pre-construction stage. AR comes into its own once the project is underway. Future workers work hand in hand with smart helmets and mobile apps. Using a smartphone or tablet, technical documentation or 3D models are overlaid and merged onto a real image of the project through a camera, and it stands on site to offer a unique perspective. Virtual and augmented reality in construction, in order to remain competitive, laser scanner record required for a building before closing a project. And the use of AR helps validate design files and also gives clients, the facility operators, a permanent record of the building. Meanwhile, the firm is thinking about the future. One is which robotics and AR work together on job sites. In terms of what's next, over the next 10 years, robotics will play a bigger role at this moment. These devices are now manually operated, but it won't be long before they are moving around sites independently.
Thanks, Subronil. Thanks a lot, Steve. And thanks a lot, audience, for your lot of questions that you have raised already. Steve, I must say that you have generated a lot of curiosity among the audience, and I can see a lot of questions that are directed to you. They want to understand that how did it get initiated in your company? We know that KPFF is the leading structural consultants in US and abroad. So how the need was felt and who initiated it, and are you using on actual projects? There are some questions they want to understand, that did you benefit and how did you benefit? So if you could explain to us how it got initiated in your company, that would really help us.
I'm glad to. Like I said, about 6 years ago, we were looking at a project, and I just thought to myself, and how can we do this, and how can I improve the product that we want to offer our clients that's out there? So I started out and I figured out how to take Revit into 3ds Max, and then from 3ds Max into VR, and I presented that to the principals here at the office, and everybody loved it. They said, okay, run with it. And then we started using it internally with our team only onto it. And then I started showing it to other clients. And then the other clients said, well, can you take my project into virtual reality for me so we can start doing coordination reviews? And then I started working with people with design teams, Fuser in the wild, and getting things going, even Inkscape that's out there for virtual reality, and dealing with Autodesk and building it and pushing it. So how it got started here, it was just an idea that we had, and I ran with it, presented it, did all the cost analysis on it. Now using it on projects, we use it all the time. Right now during the COVID thing, we're not using it. It's kind of sitting idle doing it. I am working with the company, like I said, The Wild, that's able to have people in their office, and we're doing virtual around the world. So we don't have to be together. So they can be sitting at your desk, I can be sitting at my desk. We can put our Quest on, our Rift on, whatever, and then we can do the virtual coordination back and forth. We've used it for presentations, like I said, to the city. We've done it with multiple schools. We've done it with Ritz-Carlton on the big Block 216 that's going up here in Portland, using virtual reality to show the owners how it goes up in the twist and walking through what it's going to be like. With the infinity pool, what it's going to be like at 11 stories up and looking out over the edge of a pool down onto the streets of Portland. They love it. Working with contractors, getting into it. We did the Multnomah County Courthouse and actually had spatial buy-off by teams in virtual reality before it was built. So they actually brought the judges in to check out their courtrooms, the clerks, even the people, the registration people were sitting there. And when they were sitting at their desks, there was a big wall of glass behind them, and they were up 11 stories or 12 stories or so. And they turned around and looked, and they felt it was too close to the glass, and they had a fear of heights. So they moved things and changed them around to make it work and get spatial buy-off. So yes, that's how we're using them on projects. Does that answer those questions, I hope?
Yes, Steve, that was very nice the way you explained it. Now, you want to understand, Steve, that you introduced it, from what you said, this technology to your company. So, do we need Steve in every company to introduce this? Who can be the initiators? Does it have to come from the top, the management, the BIM team, the engineers? What do you think, who are the ideally placed in any company to introduce this, in let's say start with architects and design firms?
Yeah, architects and design for anybody can introduce this, getting it going. It doesn't have to be at the high end person coming into it, the top of the ladder. It could be the person sitting at the front desk who saw something at a convention they went to, or this, and thinking about how that can be used inside your company, and push it forward and bring it to the attention so that you can advance your company and not be stagnant. Never be complacent. That's my thing. And that's why I tell everybody, don't be complacent. You see something, you like it, and you feel it can do something, prove it. And if everybody agrees with it, it's going to go. So it's not, you don't need a Steve in every company. You just need somebody with gumption to jump out and take the horns and do it.
Great, Steve. That's very nice to hear. We hope that we'll have more Steves in the industry to spread it like a wildfire. Now, the next question is again from Prakash. Now, he's saying that what is the ROI for AR and VR? So when you wanted to introduce into your company, I'm sure the first obstacle would have been the cost and benefit analysis. So can you throw some more light on what are the costs associated with this? In fact, there are a lot of questions on hardware required, how to do it, how to initiate it. So to start with very simple things, I know we have a limited time, and audience, we will be responding to your questions in details. A lot of you have asked questions on the hardware required, how to introduce it, who can help you to introduce it. So we will be sending you your queries, but I request Steve to share his thoughts on the investments required and the ROI.
The ROI, the return on investment in ARVR, it's kind of hard to judge, because when you put a cost to it and a time frame to do it, we haven't really looked at that. We look at the benefit to the client, and that gives us more work opportunity in the future. So that's the return on investment, that client relationship that you want to build. If you don't have that client relationship, you're not going to work with them in future projects. You're not going to get other things going. You want your client to be able to see that you're right there on the cutting edge, not the bleeding edge, but the cutting edge, and you're able to go the extra mile for them. So that's the return on investment that we looked at on it. I hope that helps. Now then, for the hardware and costs, you figure Oculus runs approximately $500 US to get everything set up. Your computer wants to have a good graphics card. So, for instance, our VR machines here run about $4,000 on them that we put in, because we use water-cooled VR machine. Also, my laptop runs VR onto it, which is about a $5,000 laptop onto it. So there's the cost on that. The software depends on what you go with. They have different packages for different software suites out there, and depending on how you want to use it, the most powerful one out there is Fuser. Then it comes into the Wild and Inkscape and Cubity, and they all have price packages ranging. For instance, Fuser runs from $1,000 to $12,000 a year. We're right in the middle on that. But that will also do like time video and time lapse and virtual reality. So that's the best I can tell you on the ROI and the cost of getting going. It's not difficult to learn. It's very simple to learn. So does that help?
Excellent. So yeah, that definitely helps, Steve. So from what you said, the ocular lens costs around $500, and a desktop with VR capabilities around $4,000. On your laptop, it was around $5,000. And the software you said could cost you anything from $1,000 to $12,000 for the year, depending on what kind of features you use and how many users you want to have. So, Steve, now has it spread in your company? Like with this effect, who are the next adopters in your company? So why we are asking this is to understand that all our audience want to introduce in their company. How do they go about explaining things? Because the cost doesn't seem to be very high considering the value that it generates.
No, it's not. The value it generates too is, say I can get an engineer who's sitting there crunching numbers all day and everything, and then working design out and sketches and everything. We get it modeled up for him. We actually take him into it, or take her into it, or then and get them going, and they start looking at it. They're able to start understanding their design more. It works great for junior people, whether they're just out of college or things and been going to the job site, but they're actually walking through and seeing how beams, structure, everything connects, overlaying the architecture, turn it off, seeing what the architect is really envisioning instead of just trying to picture it off of plans, which they can do fine, plans and sections, but here's what it looks like in real life. So it expands their knowledge of the project and gets them really into it. Then when they go to the site and it's being built, they actually know what they're looking for. They're actually seeing things into it. That's how you get people in your company involved in it. And you hold lunch and learns. You bring them up at lunch and learns. And to take a project is so nice now, because in the old days, like I said, I had to take it and it created a static VR model. Then every time it changed, I had to do it over again. Now everything in VR is push button, straight out of your programs. It can go straight from SketchUp, it can go straight from Revit, it can go any 3D program that's out there. You just push the button and it takes it into virtual reality. You don't have to write any code.
Excellent, Steve. That's very encouraging, because one of the challenges are training people and adopting the software. So from what you say, it will definitely get a lot of popularity. Now, the next question is regarding you mentioned that there are 3 when, design stage, coordination stage, construction stage. And you explained the benefits in all the 3 stages. Now, considering the costs and the effort required and the benefits, which stage you think is the lowest hanging fruit? How has been the adoption in coordination stage and construction stage that you have seen in the industry?
The lowest hanging fruit would be the design stage. To get the design team together and doing that's the easiest place to introduce it. Then once you get them into the design stage, then you can move into the other stages with it and pushing it through and introducing it and the other capabilities you can go in. So once you get people comfortable in the design stage, walking through the building, your team collaboration meetings and everything during the design, then you can get it going.
Thanks. The next question, Steve, is from Tom from Nibby Brothers. So his question is, that what is a good ARVR headset product for a general contractor to use as quality control tool? I want my staff to walk the projects with the model. So could you, I know you have recommended some hardware before, so could you suggest for coordination purpose, like for on-site, what is looking at to walk the projects with the model, what hardware you would advise, Steve?
I would look at, honestly, into HoloLens, Microsoft's HoloLens. It's a universal platform, and it's what I'd say 90% of all VR, AR software is tailored towards is a HoloLens. That way you can put the lens over your eyes, walk the site, and be safe, because you'll be seeing exactly what's out in front of you and what's supposed to be there in the virtual world.
So, Steve, you are saying that, again, to just make it easy to understand for the audience. So what you need is a HoloLens, you need a good computer, and you need a software. And you are saying that, suppose I've created a Navis model or a Revit model or a SketchUp model, I can just push it through the software into the lens and I can walk around the job site. Is it that easy?
Actually, believe it or not, it runs from your phone. So it actually is Bluetooth to your phone, and the print is pushed to your phone, and the software it's crunched in the cloud, and it's run off your phone through your lens. So you don't have to have a computer or anything with you. Your phone processor runs it. So the Wild does that, and so does HoloLens and Fuser.
Wonderful. Steve, that looks like, the Star Wars. I mean, that was very interesting, from what and in fact, let me share some of my experiences. We are building up a large stadium in Qatar, which is a FIFA World Cup soccer stadium for 2022. And, when we are developing the model, the owners and the management, senior management, they were quite impatient, that how much, what is the progress, and, and we always tell them that, the pre-construction is important. We are developing the model, the LOD 400 model. So we want to see it. So then we used Qubit, and, I pushed it into their cell phone, and every day we would publish it so that they can see what is the progress on the model. And they were quite happy, to see that the models is evolving every day. So it's a very nice tool to work with the clients, to work at the site, and definitely at the construction, as you explained, there are a lot of benefits that are there. Now, Steve, there is another interesting question. Are there any risks attached to this technology in terms of accuracy, privacy, or safety? So can you fall down the floor if you are just walking around with your lens? You don't realize that where you have reached.
Yes, you can. The nice thing about VR in a virtual world is you can set up what they call a geofence around your area. So that if you're walking someplace and you go too far, a fence pops up in front of you and says, whoa, turn around and go back the other way. So there's always that capability or possibility. I remember when I first started getting into VR, there was a car inside my VR program, and I went to get in it just like I would, and I sat down and actually fell on my butt. And so, I mean, it got a lot of laughs out of everybody, but it was actually feeling like I could actually sit on it. So there are a lot of different risks for safety everywhere and everything that we do. You just have to be smart about it. Clear the room of anything from people walking around it, obstacles on it. Make sure you got a clear work safety and space. As far as privacy goes, I'd talk to your IT. You just run it on your network. If you're running it internally on your network or through the cloud, it's as secure as you're working on right now. If it's an NDA agreement, you definitely want to make sure you follow what they're saying. If you have an NDA contract on who you can share the information with and who's going on to it. So that's the best I can say there.
Great, Steve. That's wonderful to know that. Now, the next question that we have is, what is the approximate Revit project file size that can be displayed on HoloLens? Is there any restriction in terms of sizes? The software that you talked about, Fuser and the other software, or can it handle? Because nowadays the files are very big.
Yeah, and with the processing, VR push button really condenses it down, so you can determine your level of graphics. I mean, level of display that you want. You want it super high, you want it real, do you want a white background? You can adjust that out based on your equipment to it. So it can get taxing. I've never ran into a model yet that I haven't been able to run. We did the Timber Soccer Stadium here in Portland, and we actually had the stadium seating, and the architects and the clients sat in every seat in the stadium to make sure that they had a clear view of the seat, a clear view of the field from every seat, and figured out that yes, it worked out great. And all we did was we put a chair underneath them, and with rollers on it in VR, and we rolled them around to make sure that they could see all the way around.
Wonderful, Steve. I remember the last year when I attended the Autodesk University conference in Las Vegas, the CEO of Autodesk had a challenge to the industry. Can you make the whole industry paperless? And I think this is a great way to move towards that. Now, on the construction stage, you were talking about the augmented reality, and where we even hear a lot of success stories where even some of the contractors are able to make things paperless. So somebody who is installing electrical outlets or things like that on the conduits, they can just wear these lenses and they can actually go and install them without even looking at the drawings. Is there something happening? Again, is it that easy? Can you throw some light? Like, have you seen somebody using that? Because we all believe success stories, and that's what everybody I can see in the audience wants to hear. Who did this and how? What were the benefits? So, if you can share some of your experiences, that would be great.
Yeah, I've worked with Balfour Beatty and Harness Wright quite a bit, and they're one of the leaders in the technology of it, pushing it out there. They're starting to get into it and running it that way. Like I said, we're starting to use it ourselves for special inspections on job sites so that our special inspectors can go out and actually have everything pre-programmed in for the structural as they're walking the site and fill it out and go onto its voice command and its hand commands in the AR to make it work. And then it's all right, the sensors and everything are right in front of you so that I can go along, or my inspectors can go along and say, yes, that weld was done correctly. It's here, it's got the number of bolts in it, and do the test with their tools, and then you check it off as yes or flag it as a problem. And that automatically goes back through the cloud to the computer over to us and saying, this is what's going into the report, which has got to go out. So that's how I've seen it used mostly. As far as people laying out studs and conduit and things like that, I haven't personally seen that. I've seen tons of videos on it, but I haven't seen it on the job site personally.
Do you think it's easy to implement that? Like we all now, the industry has already started creating BIM models for most of the projects. So do you see a day where it will be really paperless, where you can lay out your studs and conduits, just with your HoloLens?
I see that coming in the future, but the first step is 1, legal agreements with the attorneys getting involved. 2, you can't stamp a model. You can't sign a model. The engineers and architects need to sign the signed drawings. So that's always going to be there. But as far as the constructability from it, as long as they have those and those models relate exactly to the signed drawings, they've got to find a way to tie those two together. So the stamped sealed drawings and the model have to be the same on it. So yeah, I see it happening, but it's going to take a lot more than me and my knowledge to get that to work. That's going to take the lawyers. It's going to take major building professions all to get together and look at it.
Wonderful. So you are saying that technology is ready. We just need to make sure that everybody agrees to it. So let's say I'm a contractor, a general contractor. I see a lot of general contractors in the audience today, and they're very curious to know. So do you think, let's say they have got their model, they've coordinated everything. Now, can their installers on the site, can they move around paperless, in the sense they can just lay out things? Is it technically possible today? Does technology allow that?
Yes, it does. It is technically possible today to do it using objects like HoloLens and things to go through and have yourself geolocated on the site and see what's supposed to go in there per the model, per this or that where it needs to go and how it's supposed to be hooked up. What run needs to go to it, what studs, what king studs, where's the opening, is the opening too small, is the opening too large? You can get that all right there from augmented reality.
Excellent, Steve. So what is your wish list? If you want to give some wish list to the software and the hardware guys, what would be your wish list for the next innovation in this technology?
My wish list would be for everybody to live in a happy world. No, just kidding. But just to improve the processing power of it. Reduce, no matter what the file size is, have it be able to crunch it, and reduce the cost of processing power is my wish list. Because if you really want to impress somebody and show them what you're doing, you don't want to do VR in a jerky environment. So my wish list is to get better equipment or work better with equipment and the things that we have.
Wonderful. Thanks, Steve. I think it was very informative and very interesting. And I can see, Pinnacle, because we are working across the globe and on different projects. And we are seeing, even on the stadium in Middle East, where everything is paper oriented, the inspectors are actually doing the inspections online, so we are using BIM 360. So on site, they are inspecting the installations and certifying it on the iPad. And that I could not believe it, and so it immediately goes into the system because there are thousands of inspections that needs to be done every day. And if it was a paper trail, it could have been crazy. But it really, we can see a lot of practical experiences, with the way it is spreading. So once again, audience, please feel free. If you have any questions, we'll be sharing the link of this presentation today so that you can see it and share it with your friends and colleagues. And if you have any questions, please send it to us. We will direct it to Steve and Shubhronil, and we will be happy to answer your questions, share some more success stories. And as Steve said, our goal is to make the construction safe, better, faster and cheaper. Thank you everybody. Take care and have a nice day.